This happened when I was 17. It was my last Halloween at home before leaving for college, and at the time, I didn't know it would be the last one I'd ever feel safe during. I grew up in a quiet town where nothing bad ever seemed to happen. The kind of place where people didn't lock their doors during the day and everyone knew which houses went all out for the holidays. Our house sat on the wealthier side of town, but it wasn't the one people stopped to stare at. That was our next-door neighbor's house. I'll call them Mike and Donna. Their house sat right on the edge between very big house and full-on mansion. And every holiday, especially Halloween and Christmas, they went all out. Not the cute, family-friendly decorations either. They went for realism, fake graves, bloody body bags, mannequins posed like corpses, severed limbs half buried in their flower beds. It was the kind of display that made parents uncomfortable, and kids either thrilled or terrified. People would slow their cars to film it. Sometimes traffic would back up just from people stopping to look. By October 1st that year, everything was already set up. Halloween fell on a Friday, which meant parties, football games, and trick-or-treating all in one night. The town was buzzing more than usual. That morning around 4 a.m., my dog Bear woke me up barking. Bear slept downstairs near the dining room. He wasn't a yappy dog. When he barked like that, something was wrong. I yelled down the hall for him to shut up, half asleep. My mom did the same from her room. Bear stopped. I didn't think anything of it, and fell back asleep. A couple of hours later, I woke up to my alarm and got ready for school. My dad was already heading out for work. As he stepped onto the front deck, he suddenly came back inside, irritated. "Zach," he said, "clean up the dog." I was confused. "What?" "There's crap all over the front yard," he said. "I'm late." I told him I hadn't taken Bear out. He didn't have time to argue and left. When I stepped outside a few minutes later, I smelled it. It was awful. Not dog crap. Something much worse, sweet and rotten at the same time. I didn't see anything in our yard, but the smell lingered in the air. I shrugged it off and went to school. When I got home that afternoon around 2, the smell was still there. Stronger now. My parents were both still at work, and the windows were closed, but it seemed to seep through anyway. By 4, trick-or-treaters started showing up. Every time I opened the door, the smell hit me again. Parents were making comments. Kids were pinching their noses. One parent mentioned it smelled even worse next door. That's when I noticed Mike and Donna standing in their front yard, looking confused. I walked over and asked if they smelled it too. The smell was unbearable on their property. It was clearly coming from one of the body bag decorations. They had several fake body bags leaned against trees and their mailbox, but one was laying flat on the ground near the walkway. Donna said she didn't put it there. Mike said he didn't either. The smell was strongest right above that bag. Mike went inside and came back with a knife. He sliced the bag open. Inside was a real human body. The face was partially exposed, skin grayish, bloated, unmistakably real. I gagged. Donna screamed. Kids and parents nearby started backing away, some crying. I called the police. Their yard became a crime scene within minutes. Yellow tape. Officers everywhere. The body was taken away, and eventually the crowd dispersed. I told police about Bear barking at 4 a.m. A week later, Mike told my dad the body belonged to a local man in his 30s who had taken his own life. How the body ended up there was never explained. Someone dumped him there, and chose that house on purpose. Last year, when I was 24, I spent Halloween alone for the first time. I lived in my grandmother's old house after she passed away. My mom didn't want to sell it, and she didn't want to move, so the house stayed in the family. I lived there by myself. Halloween fell on a Sunday. I considered leaving a bowl of candy on the stoop, but I wanted the neighbors to see a friendly face. My grandma had been well loved in the community. People still asked about her. The day went normally. Trick-or-treaters came early and steady. A few people asked if my grandma was home. I explained she had passed and that I lived there now. Everyone was kind. By 9, things slowed down. Then I heard a voice outside the door say, "Trick or treat." No knock, no doorbell. I opened the door and saw a man standing there. He was average height, wearing a purple suit and a creepy plastic mask. I couldn't tell what the costume was supposed to be. He said trick or treat again. His voice was higher pitched than it should have been. Forced, like he was trying to sound younger. I dropped 2 pieces of candy into his pillowcase. It was completely empty. He looked inside the bag, then looked back at me. I closed the door. The next night, around the same time, I heard the same voice. trick or treat. I checked the peephole. It was him again. Same costume. Same empty bag. I didn't answer. A few minutes later, he yelled it again. I turned off the lights and went upstairs. Then something hit my window. I looked down. He was standing there, staring up at me. He lifted the bag and held it open. I called 911. Police arrested him, but 2 days later he came back. Then again, then again. Eventually, he stopped. Or maybe he didn't. When I was 10 years old, it was the first year my parents let me trick or treat without them. My friend Jordan and I planned our route carefully. We went out during the day, took a break, then went back out after dark. One house answered almost immediately. A bald man, mid-40s, gap between his teeth. He smiled too much, asked too many questions. He said the candy was inside. We said no. He insisted. We said no again. He gave us candy anyway. As we walked away, he watched us. Later that night we warned other kids. The next day he was on the news. He'd been trying to lure kids inside his house. Halloween is supposed to be fun, but it's also the one night a year where predators can hide in plain sight. And sometimes, the scariest costumes are the ones you can't take off.